Another thing I caught up on, which is the just talk of the town right now. Project Hail Mary. You talked about it last week. You were kind of mixed when you first saw it.
Yep.
We'll get into your thoughts because you rewatched it this week. But I went and saw it on a really good screen. The Imagine EMX, the sound, everything was fucking awesome. Like, I want a really good quality for this movie. And that's where I'm going to start off, is the positives here, where the visuals in the movie, Greg Fraser's cinematography is fucking fantastic. It's even not like in the big space scenes or the colorful, like the pink scenes or like the green planet, I forget, Tau Ceti. Adrian, yeah, that's what they call it. All that stuff's great, but even in just like scenes where Ryan Gosling's sitting in kind of a tunnel and Sandra Hüller's talking to him, there's little things like that where it's just the lighting is so great, and it's he's just so fucking talented, obviously on the Dune movies and the Batman and everything. So that was honestly my biggest praise of this movie, and why I would, even after I get through everything else, why I recommend seeing this movie in theaters, because it looks fucking fantastic.
Honestly, that comment alone makes me want to go see it for a third time. Like, just the way this film looks, it is awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really great to just visually look at. I think the score by Daniel Pemberton is really great. There is a section of this movie that maybe is my favorite. It's a fishing sequence, so to speak. The track on the score is called Time Go Fishing, which is like Rocky's kind of way he speaks. But that sequence was really great, and it kind of reminded me of the Interstellar docking sequence. Not as good, and a lot of people have been comparing Interstellar to this movie. It's not, Project Hail Mary is not as good. Not close for me.
Not as good as The Martian either.
No, but yes, I will agree with that. But that sequence itself, it was like the theater you could just feel was like silent and stressed, and like the
Everyone's asshole just puckers.
The sound cuts out at a certain point where somebody's head just fucking bangs off a control panel, and you're just like waiting to see what happens, and the tension, the buildup. I was like, this is a great sequence. I love this. I guess I didn't really talk about the story at all, but like Ryan Gosling, he plays a science teacher who kind of joins this mission to stop from the sun is dying. There's this mysterious substance that's killing the sun, this kind of bacteria, and he joins this crew to try and stop that. He goes on a sort of interstellar journey to figure out how to cure the sun and save the Earth. And along the way, he meets Rocky, which I guess going into the trailers, when everyone was talking about the trailers, they're like, Rocky is like such a huge spoiler, or like people were saying they spoil things in the trailer. And I guess that surprised me, because Rocky's such a huge part of this movie.
He is, yeah.
That it didn't, I guess that didn't really bother me, and I feel like you've read the book, and Rocky...
I read the book, but I didn't read the book until I saw the trailer. And I experienced the same, like, when I first saw the trailer and Rocky was shown, and people were like, oh, why are they exposing that? Because it is, like, between, like, a third of the way through the book to a half point. I think it's probably closer to a third when Rocky's introduced.
Yeah.
And it changes the story, but it's, like... He's a massive part of the movie and of the book, so I've kind of gone back on that where I'm like, it's fine that he's in the trailer. He is a pretty big presence in the movie and the book, so I'm like, it's fine. You're not spoiling anything.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by that. But to speak on Rocky, I think that Ryland Grace, the character that Ryan Gosling plays, Ryland Grace and Rocky, they have such a fun dynamic. They have such a fun relationship. It's a fun little back and forth as they're trying to figure out from two different worlds how to solve this problem. Kind of the communication barrier, the language barrier there of they're trying to communicate with a clock and trying to communicate with a tape measure and all this stuff. Of I like that process, and I wish there was more of that in this movie. And I think you maybe touched on it last week where, quiet, I don't read.
No, but that is a complaint I still have. That is one of the best parts in the book, is when they're trying to establish a spoken language that they can both understand. And in the movie, it's maybe 5 minutes of screen time. In the book, it's like 30 pages. So if you're doing like a 1-to-1 for like a script or a screenplay, like a minute per page typically, they kind of gloss over a lot of that. And it's a thing where in the book they are establishing words like every other interaction they have of like, oh, we don't have a word for that, let's add it to the dictionary, let's add it in. In this movie, you get it a couple times with the word brave, where Rocky's like, I don't know what word mean. What word for caring for others, or doing something for the betterment of others? He's like, brave. Okay. Like, they do it a couple times, but in the book, they just have way more time spent and dedicated to establishing the communication between the two, and I was like, I miss that still in this movie.
Right. And I think that's a big kind of, to get into my negatives, is I wanted more of the kind of scientific stuff and making it accessible, like The Martian did really well. We talked about that movie last week, and I feel like this movie didn't dedicate enough time to that, even though this movie is really long. And I think this movie felt really long to me. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes, and it also, to me, has multiple endings, which I haven't read the book, so don't be like, well, that's how it is in the book. And I get it. I understand. I know.
And I'll tell you, the ending in the book is similar to the movie, and I don't like it in either situation.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's like, all right, it has like a kind of sweet point where it ends, and it's like, oh, that's a touching moment. And then it goes, and then it comes back, and then it also does another thing, and then we go to another thing, and I'm like...
You're talking about the Talmiba. That, at that point, when they're both going their own separate ways, kind of. Yeah. That when you're like, in the movie, that's like a good stopping point, right?
Yeah.
100%. But in the movie, that's, again, a negative of mine on a rewatch still, how fumbled that aspect of the story is. Because then, like, he's like, oh... Talmiba, that's how we defeat the astrophage. Oh, hey, it's a good thing we have these xenonite chambers, breeding chambers, that can kind of make Talmiba so we can defeat the astrophage. That shit is so thrown in last second in the movie. In the book, it is like a good 40 pages of them trying to figure out how to use what they found on Adrian to defeat the astrophage. And it's just like a throwaway sentence of like something they almost forgot to set up earlier in the movie. He's like, yeah, these genetic testing tubes that we made with Rocky's fucking science. It's just like, you guys didn't show that at all. You didn't establish that at all. It's just so like last second, oh, yeah, remember that we didn't show you? Mm-hmm. We did that. And then, like in the book, Talmiba and like the exploration, the studying of it, it's handled so much better to where that is such a necessary, like, there's probably like 80 more pages left of story of them solving it and getting to the end. Whereas it's brought up with 15 minutes left in this movie of, oh, there's a leak in the Talmiba and now all my astrophage fuel is gone. And it's like, again, I feel bad comparing this so much to the book, but in the movie it does feel so like, I feel like we were winding down. I feel like the movie's almost over. Why are we starting up another conflict again? Like, it feels so last second, like, fumbled, and it pisses me off still as a fan of both the movie and the book. I'm like, you horribly fucked that up. You shanked it. Like, come on, guys.
It felt really weird to me, and just, again, coming from somebody who just watched the movie and judging it based on that, I also felt... I never felt the stakes of this movie. I never felt like, wow, the world's ending. It just felt like something people kept telling me and saying, hey, this is going to happen. And then we kind of see a scene at the end with Sandra Hüller on the boat, like going through ice caps and stuff. But it's like, I don't... Like, and I think a part of that, too, is the tone that they take in this movie, which, with Lord and Miller directing it, I think they're good directors. I've liked all their previous stuff. I think they needed to cut back the humor by 50% in this movie. Because I think it adds to the stakes where I'm just like, all right, well, you guys are just having a fun space adventure. You're not like, we need to save the world now. Like, we need to save both of our worlds now. And it felt like we were just kind of doing a fun, like, hey, let's go to this thing and we'll watch Rocky because you're a rock. You get that?
Yeah.
And we'll do this and it's cool. And it's like, not like, a lot of the jokes worked for me and it was fun and it was charming and sweet between these characters, but it was just kind of, it diminished a lot of the stakes that I felt in this movie. Mm-hmm. So, between the length of the movie, between the kind of third act where it just felt like it reached a natural point, and like, I don't know, just hearing you talk about the book, I would have loved if they changed the ending of this movie a little bit or adjusted it. I know fans of the book would have been like, you can't fucking do that, but like, it's a movie, it's a different medium, do it, like, change it.
Adapt it.
Yeah, it's different, you don't need to do the same exact thing. Also, there is, kind of to get into some light spoilers, I suppose, Sandra Hüller's character, you learn more about her through the movie, how she kind of, like, forced Ryan Gosling to go on this ship, and you get it interspliced with these flashbacks throughout the movie of Ryland Grace being, he starts out waking up on the ship, doesn't know who he is, and kind of starts to remember some things, and then we get flashbacks of him going through this project, and you find out that Sandra Hüller basically, like, forced him to get on this ship and was like, you're our last hope, you have to get on here. And I'm like, that's really interesting. And then we never do anything more with it. And I was like, looking back on the movie and in earlier scenes, I think it helps a little bit with her character, because I do like her, and I like her character, but overall I was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is the last 20 minutes that we're figuring this out. Yeah. We know that he gets on the ship. Okay, like, he's there, and, like, you're not a great person overall, like, that's interesting, but I guess I wanted more with it, and I think maybe you restructure the movie a little bit to give more time to sit with that and see her character more after that moment, because I think we'd seen everything before then, and even in context, like I said, I think it can work fine, but it just felt like also this, she's not good. I'm like, okay, that's fine, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like that scene specifically, I told Corey, there is one aspect of this movie, as a fan of the book, as a fan of the movie, pisses me off the most, and it is the scene where he gets drugged. In the scene in the book, it's played serious, as it should be. Why is it being played for a joke in that scene? Why is he running away, standing on a countertop, kicking and screaming? Like, that's not... It immediately makes him a coward. Which, like, that is an aspect of his character. He's like, guys, I don't have this bravery thing that all you other scientists that are willing to make this sacrificial suicide mission out into interstellar space, like, I don't have that trait. And then, where in the book, it's played like he still gets drugged, the same stuff happens. It's just, in this film, it's represented with a joke of, like, him running away and, like, oh, no, yeah, he's on the lawn. Yeah, no, he's running. Like, that shouldn't be funny. That is the one time Sandra Hüller should be serious, stone cold, which she is throughout the entire movie, but that moment needs to be taken seriously. I think that is a fundamental flaw of, just to kind of speak of the adaptation of this film, where I also think the humor, it's a lot. The humor doesn't bother me. There is a lot of humor. It doesn't bother me. But it does make you lose sight of the stakes of this film.
Yep.
That, like, we have a ticking clock. Our sun is going to die. Not that it's going to die right now, but every moment we waste means that years from now, more people are going to die. Starvation's going to set in sooner. Like, people are going to fight over resources that are left. There's an aspect in the book where they have to enhance global warming or speed along global warming by blowing up part of the Arctic ice caps to kind of make the Earth warm so that the astrophage has more to eat. And I'm like, that's such good sci-fi. That's so good. It's so smart. They don't touch on that in the book, or in the movie. Fine, they don't touch on that. That's okay. But we're missing aspects that really show us a good viewpoint into like what's going on Earth. What are they experiencing right now? Which, like, even if things aren't setting in, you can build up terror and like the paranoia or the horror or the suspicion of things aren't right. Things are going to get worse. Like, we need more mass hysteria of what's going on Earth, because otherwise there's no stakes. And then we get to have a scene that's not in the book and a scene that in the movie I don't love, it's fine, where Grace goes onto Rocky's ship. You don't need that. Cut that out. I need to know that you guys are busting your ass to get this thing solved, as opposed to, like, show me your ship. Let me go see. You guys don't have time for this right now. I'm fine with some of the moments because there's some really good lines and lines that hit me the hardest, where when it's Rocky and Grace sitting down and he's like, oh, you have a mate? Like, how long have you guys been together? Like, that stuff worked for me. It's not really in the book, but I loved it in the movie. I think that we lose a sense of these are dire circumstances. We need to act fast. There's also moments where I'm like, it's really convenient, and just like Rocky saves Grace after he hits his head kind of hard. And then Rocky is burnt, but then he comes back to life. And it's just like, okay, like, I knew he was going to come back to life. Even if I didn't read the book, I knew he's not dead. Like, it's so over the top, like, basic in its storytelling and what it's trying to kind of keep from the audiences, that it's just like, yeah, I know he's fine. He's okay. I don't believe for a second he's actually dead. I still think the ending is goofy. The ending in the book, he goes to Arid. He lives on Arid. He teaches a class of Iridians, people that look like Rocky, or aliens that look like Rocky. And they all the ending of the book is he's like, he asks a question, they all raise their hand, end of the book. In the movie, you get that, and I'm like, it's still too goofy to me. Like, I've never liked that ending in the book. I'm like, I'd rather them adapt it a little bit. You can have him go and save Rocky. You can have him help him get back to Arid. You can have him solve that issue, whatever. But, like, him living on Arid, I'm like, the amount of time, the amount of science that would have to go into solving this kind of off-Earther or off-Arid, like, inhabitant coming down to this planet and now being able to live a full life, like, what goes into that? How long did that take? Like, there's just a lot of questions there that the movie doesn't have to answer, but I'm just like, what the fuck are we doing? I think the biggest issue I have with this movie is it's not long. Not long enough. They rush through things. Granted, the pacing isn't great, but I think similar to like how I view Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, which I would not have thought I'd bring up during Project Hail Mary, which also just celebrated a 10-year anniversary this past March, which isn't that fucking weird. I saw that with Kyler Somvong and like Tanner McIntyre in high school, and I was just like, wow, this movie's not good.
Civil War also.
Civil War would have been 10 years old. Yeah.
Ugh.
Crazy. But in Batman Dawn of Justice, that movie feels so long. But then which the movie's like, what, 2.5 hours? When you get the 3-hour long cut, the ultimate cut, it's paced better. Story elements work better. I think that this film is missing fundamental aspects of the story and of establishing the dire circumstances of including more views of Earth and building out more of that Talmiba fuel scare that they have in the latter moments of this film that lead to Grace going to find Rocky. You're missing aspects of that, and I think if you build out this story a little bit more, you elongate the story. I remember the original screenings that were showed to audiences were 3 hours and 45 fucking minutes. This movie's 2 hours and 36. We cut it down 1 hour and 9 minutes. Put them back in. It's fine. Like, Interstellar's a long fucking movie. I don't give a shit. Give me a good story. Give me a complete story. Give me something that doesn't waver on its pacing or on its circumstances or on its kind of implications. Like, give me something strong here. That's a lot of negative. I still really like this movie. The first time I saw it, I couldn't help but compare it to the book, and I guess a lot of my complaints have been a lot of comparisons back to the book, but on the second viewing, the emotional moments worked better for me in this film, and it's not even the moments where Rocky's like, yeah, you can have some of my fuel, get back to Earth, you live. And he's just like, really? Like, that scene, like, the scenes that hit me are the moments of just sheer awe. Like, when he's looking over the planet and it snaps to the infrared and it's pink and you hear, like, the score seep in and, like, or him, like, they're going fishing. Like, there are moments that just, like, visually made me choked up. The movie itself, or the line when he's like, you've been with your partner for 186 years, damn, honeymoon phase. He's like, I don't understand. He's like, it's a long time. And he's like, not long enough. And I'm like, damn, okay, fuck, that's good. Emotional beats worked better for me. The humor kind of fell away a little bit to where in the first time I saw it, I was like, that's a lot. Now I'm just like, it's there, it's good, but it does still, regardless, strip away at some of the dire straits, the issues that are to be had, like the implications of what's going to happen if we don't act fast. I also think one positive that I think is absolute bullshit people throw at this is the science. Oh, this movie is really scientific. It has all the science jargon. It does not. You see him write shit on a whiteboard. Does he talk about what that is? No. He maths it out. He does the equations. He solves these problems, but we don't understand as an audience what's going on. He just then gives it to us via voiceover. I'm like, the science in this movie is made way too accessible. It's dumbed down to an alarming degree where it's just like a 3-year-old can understand what happens in this fucking movie. Martian, there are things in that movie, even though they're kind of dumbing it down, I still don't 100% get, but like, fine, I can get it for the movie's sake. This movie, they dumb it down to where I'm like, anyone can understand this. This is not easy. This is not hard. It's so accessible that it's nothing. So I think that the science in this science fiction film, while you have good concepts of the sun dying, these astrophage, collecting Talmiba, all this shit, I think it's still glossed over. And it's dumbified way too much. Like, it's way too basic. Sandra Hüller's great. That scene where he gets drugged is an eyesore to me. I'm like, why the fuck would that be a joke? And it kind of ends on a moment where Carl's talking to him and he's like, you'll do great. And I'm like, that hits, but why am I laughing before that point? I do like that Carl is not a character really in the book. He is outside and he gives Ryland Grace like one thing, and I'm like, I actually really like, in terms of adaptation, elongating that interaction, that relationship between those two characters. It works. But I spoke way too much about this movie. I like it more on a rewatch. The book is still king, and I don't know if I'd feel that way if I had read the book first or watched the movie first or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. I think that this film, in terms of adapting the book, it does an okay job. Not a great job. And I think that the movie as a whole is really good. It could have been great. And I think if someone with Drew Goddard or someone who is directing this that doesn't have such a comedic timing linked to all their filmography handled the adaptation, it probably would have been done a little bit better.
To speak on the character of Carl real quick, he's played by Lionel Boyce, who's in The Bear. He plays Marcus in The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
And I love him as a character, so it was great to see him pop up, and that was honestly like some of my favorite stuff from the first chunk of the movie was them like on Earth trying to figure out this astrophage, and they're like, all right, well, we need to like capture it and study it and all this stuff. That was going to Home Depot and getting like just duct tape and shit.
Put this chamber into a bigger chamber, and then them wheeling the crate in. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good.
It was fun. Also, AT&T girl Milana Vaintrub is in this movie. I know
wasted.
You're a huge fan of her.
She is. Allie, turn it off. She is one of the most attractive women ever to live, and AT&T did her a disservice by not putting her on every single marketing thing ever. She is so attractive.
I had to shout that out.
She's also very underutilized in this. The crew itself is kind of underutilized, which it kind of works in the movie where it does really, like, it raises the level and the amount of time dedicated to the specific characters we really need to latch onto. So it works for the adaptation. Selfishly, I'm like, there's some really funny aspects of what Alicia, I couldn't say her last name if I wanted to, but the other partners on this voyage, the other crew members, I'm like, there's more time spent with them that I'm like, probably could have made them actual characters in this movie.
So yeah, this is a very interesting movie because this has been just hyped up so much as the best movie of the year and one of the best movies of the decade. It's not my favorite movie of the year. There's other movies that I like more than this, and I think this movie is good. I like this movie.
Yeah.
I want to get that across, that I enjoyed watching this movie. Again, I would recommend this movie. There are visuals, like you mentioned, that I will never forget. Especially the green Adrian planet, him floating out in space, and then when it cuts to that pink, when they're doing their kind of experiment thing or whatever, it's beautiful. It looks fucking fantastic. So there's so many of the technical elements of this movie I love. Ryan Gosling, we didn't really touch on him much. I think he's good in the movie.
Fantastic.
He's doing his Ryan Gosling thing.
Yeah, he's still like charismatic.
It's not like a different character. It's not like a Drive or something. He's Ryan Gosling is charming. It's overall enjoyable. I don't like. I guess I don't understand the hype. I don't know that the story warrants the hype and the generational movie that it's getting. Like, I don't know. It doesn't. It's surprising to me that this is the movie that's really connected with people. I'm glad that it is. I'm glad people are seeing it. Go see it again in theaters because I love people are supporting this original movie. But it's just surprising that it's like, this is the one where I'm like, it's good. Like, there's nothing to the story where I'm like, this changed my life. Like, I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's too long. I think that the tone is all over the place. The ending, there's just a few things I didn't care for, but overall, I like the movie. I'd probably give it in the range of a B to B+. I don't know. It's been a very interesting experience of like seen the reactions and then kind of being behind a week on it and hearing your thoughts on it and everything. So go see it though. Make up your own mind about what you think about it because I think it is worth seeing in theaters for sure.
Yeah, I think on a first viewing, I probably would have given it like a B. I'm now in like the B+ A- range. Like, I still really like the movie. I have some like head-scratching issues with it. Would I have a lot of these issues if I hadn't read the book? Well, a lot of the issues I have are issues that you have, and you hadn't read the book. So I'm like, okay, so I'm happy that you and I at least, while I might like the movie a little bit more than you, we still agree on a lot of these things, and I'm happy that I have you to kind of pinball off of like you not having the book as a fallback, as like a guide as to how good of an adaptation this is. So it's just nice to kind of be able to talk it out. And I feel like those are some of the best conversations we get to have are the movies that we don't like 100% love because then it's just us glazing a fucking movie, or a movie that we hate and it's just me yelling about Lydia Tarr, which I now like that movie. But with this movie, like, it's so good, but it could have been better. Like, there's things that could have been improved on. So I will say the one piece of humor, or the joke in this film that worked a lot for me, both in the book and in the movie, probably more so in the movie, is when he's like, is that a ship? And then just the way they're moving in space and scooting along, I'm like, that's fucking hilarious to watch.
I really like Fist My Bump.
Fist My Bump, that's good stuff. That's good in the book too. It works really well, but I like the voice that they went with for Rocky. A lot of people were like, they could have picked anything else, or they could have done a better voice. I like how just like kind of charming and like almost young. It just felt young and kind of naive a little bit. But
James
I liked
Ortiz,
it.
shout out to him. He did a great job.
But definitely go check it out. I might see it for a third time. I might try and bring my wife. I hope that, similar to The Martian, when this film comes out on physical media, please give me a saucy steelbook that I can buy and don't have to try and find someone to make me a steelbook that upsets me. Give me a good steelbook, but also give me an extended version. Give me an extended cut similar to The Martian. Give me 20 minutes longer, because I don't like this movie is kind of long, but I think the pacing and the feeling of it being long could be kind of smoothed over with dedicating more time to certain aspects of the story and just kind of balancing it out, as opposed to like, 15 minutes are left, let's introduce this conflict. It's like, no, the movie's like winding down, stop it.
Yeah.
But go check it out. I'm excited to see it again.